Hi, come on in. Say hello. Setting up your webinar. All right. We are on YouTube and we are here. Hello. In the chat, make sure you're talking to everybody. Hi. Everybody, not just hosts and panelists, you guys. I'm going to make all my things. Hello. Portland, Southwest Washington. Thank you so much. People loved it yesterday. Yay. More to love today. Northern Virginia, all the people. Hey. Barcelona, Spain, or Barcelona, if you say it like that. I would not, because that would be weird. Hi, Lise. How are ya? Houston is in the house. We got India here. We got Vancouver Island. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Diane from New York. Right on. From Carmichael. Where's that, Diane? We have London. We have Greenville, South Carolina. You guys, are you looking that there's people from literally all over the world here? It's so amazing that we live in a time when this is possible to happen. Like, it's just so exciting. Yay. We're going to let people stream on in, which they're doing. This is Father Wound 101. We are here for this is live session 2 of 3. And I'm so pumped that you guys are here. We'll be answering a ton of questions. We got Stockholm here, Dallas, Texas. Hey, May. Oh, Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah. Happy to be with all of you today. Me too, Victoria. Welcome. All right, make sure the chat, you guys, yesterday we covered a lot in the chat. There was a lot more to go, but we did cover tons. So make sure if you have questions, you're putting them in the chat, and Team TC will be grabbing them along the way, and we'll be hitting them at the end. And a lot of times I'll be hitting them in the middle, if it makes sense to hit them in the middle. You know what I mean? So just put them there. Put a couple of question marks in front of them, though. So a couple of question marks before your question so that Team TC can grab them. In the drop-down menu, make sure you're talking to everyone because it's easy. I don't know why, but it almost seems like the default position is host and panelists. So make sure it's everyone so that we can all see what everyone is saying. Well, hello, Western Washington State. How you doing, Jerry and Lucy, Ellen, Bailey? We got everybody. Come on in. Kathy from Michigan is in the house. I'm so happy you guys are here. All right. Yesterday was so amazing. Thank you guys so much for sharing on social. Like, it was so fun. I've never really asked you guys to do that before. I'm not sure why. I've been doing this for years. I should. But anyway, those of you who shared in your stories, and you can do it right now. Take a picture. I'll be smiling. Do you know how to take a screenshot? I know not all my people are super techie though. So if you don't know how to do it, that's okay. But if you do know how to do it, a lot of people shared yesterday. So, which was great, and stories and posts, and you tagged me, so I was able to see them. So keep it going, because listen, what is my mission? Help as many people as possible. And when you guys share, you're just increasing our ripple. Positive world domination is like my lifetime goal, like helping as many people as possible. So feel free to take a quick snap right now and share while people are logging in, because we have people coming in right now still getting it together. Use the hashtag FatherWound or FW101. Yep, on social media, and then I can find you. Also, just tag me at Terri Cole, because if you know someone that needs this information, please share it with them, right? The more the merrier. This is free. So what is the link to the upcoming course? terricole.com/fatherwound for people who know they're in for the course. FatherWound. terricole.com/fatherwound. Yay, that's an exciting question to start with. Right on. All right, I want to say thank you for being here live. I love it so much. Hola, Michelle. How are you? I know there's a million other things you guys could be doing, but it means a lot to me that you're interested in being here. Hello, Anna from Croatia. Yay. I'm so glad you're here. Croatia on my bucket list of places to visit. I really, though, have to say from yesterday, I'm super impressed with your commitment to changing what's not working in your life and in your relationships, because that's what we're here. That's what we're doing, right? You deserve so much more than you're tolerating, right? Like, our lives are not about how much we can tolerate. It's about more joy, more satisfaction. And a lot of people say to me and say in general, and on the interwebs will, say to me, I want to become more empowered in my relationships. I want to understand myself better, but then they don't do anything to make the changes and make suggestions. They're like, okay, but what else? I'm like, there's no magic pill, right? There's no way around the middle, right? So you guys are here now doing it. And for those of you who are watching this after the fact, it's the same thing. Maybe it's in the middle of the night for you, or maybe you had to work. Maybe you're sleeping right now, but I'm super grateful for you for carving out time to watch the replay. Because again, this is the only way, is actually doing the work, learning, understanding, evolving, having a deeper understanding of yourself. I appreciate you guys, which Ooh, Trinidad and Tobago representing. Right on. Chimdima. Chimdima? Is that right? Hey, Linda from Queens. How are ya? All right. Chilly but sunny Ohio is also in the house. Yeah, chilly here too. I feel like it's following me. I left, it was 90 here. And then I went to Vancouver and it was 50. It was like, why is it so cold over here? I came home, now it's 55 today here. Makes no sense. Anyway, hello, Babiana from Brazil. So, yes to you guys being here or watching this after the fact. And now I'm going to say, give yourself the gift of your own presence, right? Be here now. What does that look like? If you have like 40 tabs open, close them all except this one. I mean, unless you're posting on social media to share with other people, then you can keep that one open until you're done. But distractions, no, you don't need them to the best of your ability. If you can, this is a gift to give yourself. It's not, you don't need to share it with other people. You don't need to do anything other than get something out of this for you. So, are we officially starting? Where are we officially starting? All right. I feel like I'm going to officially welcome you right here. Welcome. Session 2, live of Father Wound 101. So what is the Father Wound 101? It is 3 sessions over 3 days, in case you're new, to increase your awareness about father wounds, their causes, their symptoms, how they show up in your current life, relationships, and how to start the healing process. In session 1, we defined what a father-daughter wound is and discussed the most frequently asked questions, myths, causes, symptoms. That was yesterday. And if you're only here today and you didn't see yesterday, you have access to that training right at HQ, terricole.com/HQ for headquarters. Get it? Father Wound headquarters. Anyway, made it as easy as possible, even if you couldn't be here live, for you to actually get the information. So now, today, we're going through the various ways the father wound might be showing up in your life, exploring how the father wound shapes your life and your relationships, right? So we talked other behaviors yesterday. Today, we're specifically talking about how it shapes your life and your relationships. And the next session, which is tomorrow, that is practical steps to overcome the father wound. We made you an amazing workbook. You can also get that at HQ. So terricole.com/HQ or terricole.com/workbook. Either way, you don't have to have it for this session. I just don't want you worrying about taking copious notes, because I really think the most helpful thing that you can do is be here now. Really, if not you, who? If not now, when? There's no time like the present, and the truth is there's no other time, right? So thank you, right, for being here, and go you, right, for answering to yes, me, and yes, now. Woohoo! That's what I'm saying. So I'm teaching for about 35 to 40 minutes today. Then I'll be taking the Q&A like we did yesterday. So do me a favor again, if you have questions anytime during the training, put it in the chat. Start out with like 5 question marks so Team TC can see you. All right, let's get into a grounding, shall we? I think we shall. It is the way I love to start all the things, as you know, if you know me. And if you're new here, this is how we start all the things. So here we go. I have 2 today. So I have my newer version of the Jasmine Sea Sun by Lively. And then I have my Sage Unwind, which I really love. I love them all, actually. So if you have one, grab it. Wow, that smells amazing. Put some on your hands. Joe says from Singapore here. Well, hello, Joe from Singapore. Thank you for doing this free training. I found the workbook very useful today as I was filling it up and taking notes. Looking forward to today's session. Well, right on. I love it. Right on, Joe. All right, so if your leg are crossed, uncross them, put your feet on the ground, right? Because we're grounding ourselves in this present moment. Take your hands. I like to be in a receiving position on my lap. You can do it however you're comfortable. If you like to hold a mute mudra, you can do that as well. Let's just start by breathing. Just relax your shoulders. Just breathe. And let's just do a quick body scan. I want you to start at the top of your head and just scan your body. And if you get to any part of your body that feels tight or tense, constricted, and it could even be your mind, it could be thoughts, it could be in your throat chakra, it could be your heart chakra, anywhere that you feel tension, I'm going to ask you to breathe into that spot. And on the exhalation, visualize that that tension is leaving your body with your breath. So just take your time to really dial into how your body is feeling from above to below. And just give yourself what it is that you need. You need to move because you feel tension. Feel free to do that. And once you've gone from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, I'll ask you to bring your attention to your heart chakra. But if you don't know where it is, just put your hand on your heart. And let's breathe deeply into this spot. We're going to do the same thing. If there's anything that's blocking your heart chakra, anything that's constricted around your heart chakra, we're going to take 2 deep breaths into this space. And on the exhalation, visualize that anything blocking is leaving your body with your breath. Breathing in and exhale. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in and release. This allows you to come to this call, this session with an open heart. Now I'll ask you to bring your attention to your third eye right between your eyebrows and a little bit up. And we're going to do the same exact thing. If there's something that's blocking your ability to see with clarity, your inner knowing, your intuition, your gut instinct, as we breathe into this space, we're going to imagine whatever's blocking you is leaving your body with your breath. So breathing in and exhale. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in and release. And now this allows you to come to this call with an open mind, which, as I like to say, is always a beginner's mind. And to get a little bit of energy going before we set our intention, I'm going to ask you to just tap right underneath your clavicles. We're just going to tap a little bit. And now breathe. And now you move from the clavicles to the thymus thumb, we call it, right in the middle. And then right the sides of your ribs, kind of underneath your breast a little bit and to the side. And now stop. And I want you to see if just that 30 seconds of energy work moved any energy for you. Because it did for me. All right, so let's set our intention for today's call. My intention will almost always be the same, which is that you learned something today. You have some epiphany, some aha moment that helps you lessen your own suffering and elevate your own joy. Once you've set your intention, we're going to take one last collective deep breath together, and we're going to exhale audibly with a sigh if you are somewhere where you can do that. So on the count of 3, breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Ah. Right. All right. So you are here now. Welcome back. Did you, a little bit of movement, did you feel anything? Yeah, me too. I always feel something that moves. Oh, Sherry said it almost this time 3 years ago. On this day, my only child was killed in a tragic accident. I need this right now. I'll practice the meditation and replay. My heart is broken, was feeling the blessings. Thank you. We are all sending you love, healing, and just holding you in this sacred container, Sherry, because there's nothing. My sister lost a daughter, and there's nothing that we can say or do other than that you're not alone and that we're here. We see you. Nobody should have this experience. It's so bad. All right, we're here. So here's our grounding. So this is really some time for you to take care of yourself today, to give yourself this gift today, right? This is a radical act of self-love to take an hour and 15 minutes out of your life, even if it's free, to do something for yourself. So I'm just so glad that you're here. Listen, I've been doing this for literally 27 years, and I've helped thousands of women just like you get empowered in all areas of your life. So let's start with a couple of questions just to get you into the right spot in your brain. Some powerful questions. And if you feel inspired, I would love it if you shared in the chat, because you know how I love to know what's happening. Make sure you're writing to everyone, not just panelists and hosts, all the kind words that are going in there. So, question for you. Have you noticed a pattern of choosing emotionally unavailable partners or, like me, physically unavailable partners? Anybody? Yes. And it could be someone who's there physically, but just doesn't have the emotional capacity. Yes, lots of you. Yes, yes, yes. In your romantic relationships, do you feel like you are managing your partner instead of experiencing a mutually supportive partnership? Does anyone feel like the manager in their relationships? I mean, I'm way better now, but I have to say, I was like the worst. I was fixing every broken winged bird that came my way. Anybody? I could fix how you dress. I could fix your family of origin injuries. I could fix it all. I could help you with your career. I could help you get into recovery. Like I got it covered. No, I did not have it covered. I just thought I had it covered. It's exhausting. Do you doubt your abilities and sometimes feel like an imposter at work? Anybody? Anyone ever have the imposter syndrome where you're like, how did this happen? They're soon going to find out I don't know one thing. Yes, imposter syndrome, what a nightmare. Yes. Do you frequently seek validation from your boss, colleagues, friends? Anybody seeking validation? Yes, a lot of people are recovering. A lot of people are still doing it. I totally understand both. And do you feel like you need to, I really suffered from this in my younger life. Do you feel like you need to constantly prove your worth to your friends, to in your relationships, romantic? I always felt like I needed to be doing something for others, right? I needed to be adding value. And it's funny, I've sort of, when I got healthier, it's like I changed it into always adding value to your life. But because this is my career now, it's appropriate and not over the top. And it doesn't give us an imbalanced relationship. Does it make sense? It's almost like this is the transmutation of what I used to do, feeling like I needed to earn my keep by adding value to the lives of other people. I mean, someone said, I don't understand why. Well, part of it is a lack of self-esteem, right? It was like I had a lack of worthiness. Exactly right, Sarah. Sarah said, worthiness has always been a heavy feeling in my life as long as I can remember. But that's exactly like you hit the nail on the head as to what it is. Because when you feel worthy, you know that your presence in the lives of the people that you love and that are lucky enough to be in your VIP section, that's enough. That's important. That's something. You are enough. That's right, Nikki. We're all enough. But certainly part of having a father wound can be the feeling that you're not enough. And that if you don't add value and help and pick up the slack and say, I got it, I got it, I got it, that what's going to happen to those relationships? Or have you ever avoided pursuing a promotion or a new opportunity due to fear of failure? Right? The question is, how much, I mean, I've seen it in my therapy practice so many times where you feel like you need another degree. Like I'd have people who were so experts at what they were doing, and they're like, but I still think I should get my PhD. I'm like, you don't need it though, actually. Like, you know more than anyone out there. Yes, fear. That's right, Lynn. I feel like I need another degree in another area. It's so true. And it's so interesting because we see the flip side of this a lot. And I won't point out and say that it's always men that do this. I won't say that, but I will say that I do feel like, in my experience, women always feel like they need to do more, and not everyone feels that way. They feel like they'll go for it. They'll ask for the raise. They'll be like, I'll figure it out, whatever, you know? Anyway, yes. Is paralysis by analysis a real thing? Oh yeah, it is, Donna. It's overthinking. It's overthinking. And perfectionism creates analysis paralysis, where you're like, I don't want to make a mistake. So I'm going to think the shit out of this decision. And like, yes, high functioning codependency. This is also a whole part of this. But you guys, I want you to take a look in the chat. And I want you to see that you are not alone, right? That we are all here. And that even if you're successful, you can have these experiences, right? Like, let's talk about what drives your ambition, right? As we're talking about work and all the other things. Like, when you really think about what drives you, are you passionate about creating something? Or is there a part of you that's kind of out to prove something? Or are you out to prove someone wrong? Like I certainly was in my young life, right? I fell into that latter category because I was so unaware of my father wound and how the way that I related to my father, how that was impacting my career. I just thought I was ambitious, right? I literally just thought I was ambitious. And I thought that's a good thing. But because my father had 4 daughters and I was his last chance for a boy, I was very convinced that he wanted one boy at least. And so I felt that he wanted a boy. That's what I felt like. And I wasn't. So I felt like I was a disappointment. And I had something to prove. Like I wanted to prove that I could be as successful and more successful than any boy he could have had, you know? I didn't know that. The way I describe it, and I talked about this in Boundary Boss, is that in my mind, I thought I was running towards something, my dreams, what I wanted. In reality, and after a bunch of therapy, I was able to really understand that I was running away from something. Because if you're trying to prove something, what was I running away from? Feeling inadequate. I was running away from feeling unworthy. I was running away from not feeling enough, you know? Nikki said, I own a business, successful, and sometimes feel like I need to get one more credential to put after my name. I really have to stop that. Yeah, right? You're successful and we're still like, but it's not enough. So true. I remember almost going for my PhD after getting my master's, simply so that people would know I was a doctor. You know what I mean? And I'm like, is that a good reason to do it? It's like social status. So I didn't do it. And I knew people who were getting these doctorates like online, you know? And for a minute, I really did think, and I don't mean online like legitimate, not like NYU. I mean, it was like a school that, you did like 3 weekends and you could call yourself a doctor. Anyway, obviously I didn't do that, but it did enter my mind. Yeah. My girlfriend asked me 7 years ago, what am I running from? Ooh, insightful girlfriend, Dom. I wish someone had asked me that in my 20s. I think I would have gotten to this sooner, for sure. Anyway, I also didn't realize how much my father wound was impacting my choice of romantic partners, right? That whole feeling, striving to be considered good enough, right? This really is often part of having a father wound. And what does it lead us to, as we were talking about before, unhealthy relationships? Because if we don't feel worthy, then a lot of times we put up with bad behavior. unhealthy partners, unavailable partners. And this can create, as we were just talking about, low self-esteem. Like having a father wound for me really impacted my self-esteem, my sense of worthiness. And I've seen it a million times in my therapy practice. So if you have a punitive father, right? Someone who was punishing as a kid, you might have thought, if I were only smarter, better, more athletic, prettier, more successful in school or whatever, more talented. If you had a father who was like a musician, but you weren't in that way, then my father would love me, or then my father would pay attention to me. And kids create stories, right, to make sense of why a parental figure doesn't seem to care about them, because it doesn't make sense to a kid, right? All of us know that inherently our parents should care about us and want to be with us and think we're great, right? But when they don't, and as kids, we're naturally self-focused, because how could you be anything else? And there's something almost empowering about blaming ourselves. If I were better then, right, I would have a different relationship to this parent and they would approve of me more. And of course, what's interesting is that that's obviously not true. But the alternative, right? Me thinking that perhaps if I were born a boy, my father was disappointed that I wasn't born a boy. That was easier to take and less painful than to believe my father was simply not interested in really knowing me. And that these beliefs of not being important enough for that parent to show up for you, this has a profound impact on our sense of worth. And a lot of times when we have these experiences young in our lives, when we're hurt by others, we tend to internalize the pain of that. And these beliefs become limiting beliefs of our own. But what we don't realize is that we were not the original person who created them. It was the way that that parent treated us. Yeah. And I think that Lisa shared something really impactful. And I think this is something that is going to come up a lot, and stuff that we definitely are dealing with this in the course itself. Lisa said, I have a hard time now that my therapist asked me about it, that my mother never intervened when my father raged and was physically abusive. And this is this is really common, where it's almost like I found this in my own life, Lisa, that my mother was a saint and my father was terrible, right? In my mind. And even in therapy, like in talking in therapy in my 20s and 30s. And hold on, sorry, I got to plug in my computer. I just realized. And it was like, I only wanted it to be about him being bad, but I could never deal with it. I could never deal with the fact that to blame my mother too. And I remember my therapist sort of being like, well, that's convenient. So your mother was perfect, but your father was completely not there and absent and whatever, and you guys were terrified of him and she didn't do anything about it. And you're like, oh yeah, right, that happened. So I think that, listen, you can manage this within yourself, and we will be handling this within the course too, Lisa. So hopefully you'll be doing the course with us. When you grow up with a father who is distant, absent, controlling, or abusive, right, as Lisa was just sharing, we begin to form these beliefs about being unworthy, being unlovable, being stupid, someone had said, my 13-year-old self still wants to be thinner. And you know what that parent valued, right? If that parent valued thinness and you weren't thin, right? That was a theme in my family as well, about not being thin enough, or the feeling of not being thin enough, and just simply not being good enough. The limiting beliefs and self-defeating statements, right? This can easily sort of lean us towards, like, we need to look at our own behaviors. And obviously we're going to unpack this more deeply in the course itself, but we need to look at our own behaviors into addiction, people pleasing, anxiety, depression, toxic relationships as adults, right? This stuff is painful. And so what do we do? For me, I started drinking very young. I was literally drinking, I swear to God, at the age of 12. And I stopped drinking at 21. I drank a lot between 12 and 21. And it was because I was in pain. And so this was how I knew to numb the pain, right? Was to some numbing behavior. And I feel like a lot of us, or we turned it in, the rage that we couldn't allow ourselves to experience with other people. And then, as we talked about yesterday, then what about the cycle? Did we repeat this cycle in our own families? And if we did, we need to deal with that, which we will definitely be diving into in the course too, because of course we want to stop the cycle, obviously. But for many of us, the kids are already grown, right? Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Um, so we want to, I mean, I've seen it myself, obviously, being a therapist for so long, but we can stay in these self-sabotaging behaviors. And guys, these behaviors can come up as shadow addictions, I call them, where maybe the abuse, the use or the abuse didn't get to like catastrophic levels, but maybe it's just how you dealt, right? Meaning maybe you had 2 glasses of wine a night, but didn't get hammered, never got lost your license, or do you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that that isn't impacting you. You know what I mean? Because it still does. It um, makes us not there, makes us not present. So we're really going to uncover, obviously, all of this more, but this is just food for thought, right? So Kiara said it attracted me to abusers. Sure. Yeah. And then Chimdima said, my son is 9 and I want to do better for him before it's too late. And it's also never too late to heal our own original injuries. But when your kids are still young, you actually have a chance to really do it differently. You know, Teresa said, I'm a mom listening to understand my part of my children's problems with their father. Yes, it's so important that we understand our 50%. But I find that with my people, with this crew, we tend to over take responsibility, right? So we need to find the place in the middle where we're taking responsibility, but we're not letting other people off the hook. Having a father wound also affects, as we were saying, all of you are sharing, who we attract, but also how we attach to others, right? We often talk about attachment issues, about our relationships with our primary caregiver. But for me, my mother, my primary caregiver, was loving and present. And I still became anxiously and insecurely attached in my early relationships, right? So, and we know this, there's different social science out about this. So having a father wound and an attuned primary caregiver can coexist, because I'm living proof of that, because it still impacts you. Even if you had one pretty present parent, if the other one wasn't, right? Having a mother to whom I was securely attached allowed me to have healthy friendships, but this doesn't necessarily translate to healthy or happy romantic relationships. So I've always been a girl's girl, so to speak, a gal's gal. I don't know if we can say girls anymore, but you know what I mean? Groups have always been my thing. I have 3 older sisters. I have the same friends since 1974. And I always felt safe with women in a way that I never did with men. Literally, 1974. And we cover attachment issues. Of course, obviously, in the time I have today, I can't cover attachment issues, but we will dive deep into them in the course, because this is stuff that if you don't know about it, it's very valuable to understand. And it makes sense the way that you relate. Like, you make sense. Yes, it can include becoming a loner, right? Because you don't want to be close to people because they hurt you, Solange. So a lot of people isolate. That's part of the ways that we deal with our fear of attaching to others. So that, to me, is more of an avoidant attachment style, you know? Yeah, it's like connecting. A lot of people saying feeling that connection with women Yeah, I always have a difficult time trusting others, not showing who I really am. Yeah, especially if it wasn't safe. Jane said, feeling safer with men than I do women. Is that because I have a mother wound too? Definitely, Jane. Like that certainly can impact it without a doubt. I think that when we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but if we're looking at your own pattern in relationships, right? Where have you felt like this before? Right? Where, how? Like we're always looking for patterns. When we want to change something, we're looking for patterns in our own behavior, becoming the observer without judgment. Like, why do I interact this way with the men in my life? And if earlier in my life I'd had the mindset or the insight to ask myself that, I probably would have stopped that cycle sooner. But I really didn't because it's so threatening, right? It's so, being in relationships for me was so threatening. It was so scary, you know. Um, Fabulous said, why would I sabotage myself with food? Because it keeps you safe. You would sabotage yourself with food because a lot of times, this is what I've seen in my therapy practice, is sometimes it's so scary to be vulnerable that we're actually putting physical space between us and other people, you know? Yeah, Nikki said I'd quickly cut people off if I notice them acting similarly to the bad behaviors. It's easier at times to close the door. I've gotten better at giving people a chance with boundaries. Yes, Nikki, but that is a reaction, that cutoff, right? So it's like it's scary. You see that something that's recent and you go, I need to get out of here. Like I do not want anything to do with this. Yeah. Yeah, Linda said I use food to stuff down my emotions. I use it as my pleasure. Yeah, that too. This and in a way, we say it's a numbing behavior, but it is a pleasure behavior. Same thing with drugs and alcohol. What we're seeking is that initial pleasure that it gives. Miranda said shopping. Yep. And someone's saying, I'm not interested, Geraldine, in being a loner anymore. And I'm in the process of working on this and being successful. Right on. Yay. And look, you're here. You're here in this community right now, Geraldine, which is beautiful. I love it. All right. All right. So here we go. And we're going to cover this in the course, but not enough time to finish it today. Each wound, mother and father wound, they have their own attachment stuff with them. So in the course, we'll be hitting all the father wound stuff. In order to have time for the questions, because we got a lot of questions that came in, I need to move on. So for me personally, I can say that the absence of my father emotionally had this sense of longing. We talked about longing a little bit yesterday. And then I chose romantic partners who, in the beginning, they were emotionally unavailable. When I got healthy enough in therapy that they were emotionally present, I was like, this is amazing. I totally beat the matrix on this relationship stuff until my therapist pointed out that all of my boyfriends lived in other places that really created the same feeling. Oh, Julie said, I just had an aha moment. I never thought that gaining weight was a way of keeping my distance, but wow, that makes so much sense to me. It does, Jewel. And here's the thing, it works, right? Because a lot of times it makes us want to isolate even more if we're not feeling good about ourselves. But it's literally a layer of protection. So I'm really happy that you had that. Aha, amazing. The back to though, looking at your own story of what did you experience? And then what do you see in your life now? What do you experience and what do you see? So for me, getting into relationships with unavailable partners, this activated the child within me. And what I always think about this is we're actually the kid in us. We keep repeating these things because we're looking for a do-over. We are seeking a better outcome than the one we had with our father figure. So what we really want is for it to be different. Yes, Renee said emotionally unavailable, so I became emotionally unavailable. Amazing. I've chosen someone who reminds me of my father, said Christy. Yeah. And it is, yeah, yes, the disappointment when it's not. Ugh. Oh, it's so true because here's the thing. We have to do something different to get something different, which is basically what the training and what the Father Wound course is all about. This training, the Father Wound course, everything I'm going to be talking about this month is about learning something different. And, Fabulous said, is time running out for me? I'm 69. No more than it running out for anyone else, because none of us know how long we're going to live, babe. Right? So there is literally no time like the present than to heal this so you can live the next best third of your life with satisfaction. It's never too late, Sid Merritt. I'm 82 and still working on it. Right on. Right? Because it's all about our internal experience. What we're changing by doing this father wound work is our internal experience, how we experience ourselves, and then how we interact in the world, in our relationships, with our friends, with our lovers. That's the change, with our families. Really doing it from a perspective of us being worthy of creating a life that we want, right? Having relationships that we want, being treated the way we want. That's what this is all about. And that's what we're changing. So for you, any repeating things you're doing, anything that's getting activated in you, right, is maybe it showed up like it did for me. I overfunctioned, I overgave, I overfelt. I became codependently connected to them. I anticipated their needs before they had them. Anybody? Need anticipator? Which reminded me so much of my parents' relationship, even though I didn't see much of it, but like my father would come home from work at 8 o'clock at night. We'd already have eaten. I knew he didn't even have to ask my mother. She would like get up and go make him a sandwich and bring it to him in his recliner. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the anticipating, exactly. Deborah said, yes, made me great client facing salesperson. Sure. Right. The skills, whoo, the skills that we get from having the antennas that we had to grow out of safety. Amazing. I feel like I'm an amazing therapist. I feel like I'm a great teacher because I'm so dialed in to other people's feeling states and I'm so attuned, right? Naturally, because we learn to be attuned. Yes, such an empath, such a highly sensitive person. And I love it. Like I changed careers so that I could make that what was something that was painful into a superpower, of course, through therapy as well. So I saw the dynamic, as I was saying, play out with my parents. But again, the end result basically was my mother having an affair with her boss. And that's not even why. The end result was they were not happy. People will be like, what ended your parents' marriage? I'm like, my parents' marriage ended my parents' marriage. Trust me. There'll always be some precipitating event, but that ain't it. It's being mismatched and having no ability to communicate. So I think being of service and watching my mother do that became just ingrained in me. But now I do it in a highly functional way that brings me so much joy and so much satisfaction, Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. So how else can this show up in romantic relationships? And you guys, you'll tell me, but difficulty trusting partners, fearing betrayal and disappointment. Anybody? Just you can put a Y in there if that's you. Like difficulty trusting, experiencing intense jealousy or possessiveness in relationships. Anybody? Yeah. Yep. Fear of being left. So leading to clinginess, or the opposite, avoidance, right? You were saying being solo. So avoidance of intimacy or clinginess, it can go either way. Yes, avoidance, Teresa, can go that way too. And it can vacillate depending on the relationship. Yeah. Or what I really did was jump from one committed relationship to another without taking a break at all. Any serial monogamists in the group? Super literal. And most of my relationships, until Vic, my husband, there was an overlap. So meaning, you know exactly what that means. I don't need to tell you. So even if I was just like flirting with someone or talking with someone, it was like, I, there was, yes, exactly, Miranda, an emotional overlap. Yep. I married a man, gives no physical affection. I don't think I've received a good hug in 21 years. Deborah, I am sorry to hear that. Get hugs from other people, my friend. Yep. Yeah. But that's hard, Yeah. Can we really heal all these issues? That's a lot of stuff. You can, because the thing is, the origin of these issues, baby, these all go to the same place. So it isn't like we need to do, it's not like this vast thing. We go back to the scene of the crime, which is childhood, right? We go back to, you will have certain peak experiences that profoundly impact you. And then that's the beginning of the process of changing it. So what you're not going to do, and I understand it feeling overwhelming, but that's why I can cover what I can cover in our 3 days of free stuff. And then really to really dive deep, I had to create an 8-week course, which is what the Father Wound course itself actually is. But you can do it because I've been helping people for 27 years do it. So I know for sure. And I did it myself. That's why this is this is so close to my heart, is because I did it myself. And nobody was more shocked than me that I healed enough to be in a healthy relationship with my husband. And we've been together 27 years. You guys, like, literally, I was like, P.S. never. I never understood the love thing. I never got it. I got a lot of other things. I was smart. I was capable. I was ambitious. I always was successful in that way. But the love thing, I was like, I have no fucking idea. I do not know. Why can I not crack that code when I have a brain? I should be able to, but it wasn't. It wasn't the brain that was missing, right? It was my emotional intelligence. I needed to understand what had happened for me. I'd always minimized it because I thought, because my father didn't hit anybody, that who was I to say I had a father wound? And only through years of therapy did I understand that, yes, it should give you hope, babe, because it's possible. And whatever you experienced was valid, right? And like we said yesterday, this is not like you did nothing, no matter what you did. If your family system was so chaotic and you did the acting out, or you were the unfortunate one that was the scapegoat, let's just say, you were still didn't do anything wrong because you were doing what the system is designed for you to do. That literally the family system chose you if you were the scapegoat. And this is another thing that's really important to understand. Like, you're the black sheep? No, that system made you the black sheep. You were literally doing a favor to everybody by acting out the veiled feelings of the group. And that shit is a thankless job, but somebody has to do it, or the system implodes. So just know that yes, lots of scapegoats, and then lots of hero children too, because the golden child is also not free. You know what I'm saying? Yes. We'll get it. We really do cover that extensively in the course as well. So moving into, I want to be able to take your questions. And how does it affect us in work, right? We feel unsure about our abilities. Sometimes that leads to underperformance. Sometimes that leads to excessive humility. Anybody? This makes me crazy when people don't own their stuff. And I used to do it too. Excessive humility, where we're just turning it down. We're like, nothing, it's nothing, not a big deal. And I remember my therapist, I used to say when I was a talent agent, I would talk about how lucky I was. And she explained it to me, and I never understood this. I never understood it. She was like, Terri, why do you keep saying you're lucky when it comes to your career? I was like, because I am. And she was like, do you know why you say that? I was like, obviously not. I hope you're going to tell me. And she said, because you don't want to threaten your sisters. You don't want to threaten anybody. So if you chalk it up to luck, then it's nothing you did. And I was like, oh my God. So then she asked, like, did you work hard? I was like, yeah, I sure did. She's like, then own it. Stop saying you're lucky. And that blew my mind. It also changed the way I related to my success, where I was like, you know what? I did do this shit. I did it. No nepotism. Nobody gave it to me. I did it. Hard work, failing, getting up again, failing, getting up again. That's what is required. And that's what I did. But it took years to be able to go, yeah, I did that. Right? Earned, not lucky. Exactly right, my friend, Sherry. Another thing at work, how it can impact us, a father wound, taking on more responsibility than necessary to prove our worth, driven by a need to succeed to gain approval, as we talked about before, that was missing from your father. And it's almost like this transference. I had so much transference to bosses, right? Where if it was someone in that position of authority, I'd be like the same way I was afraid of my father, I'd be afraid of that person. Viewing approval and acceptance as contingent upon performance, right? Or achievement. Like I'm only as good as my last anything. It was like when I was a talent agent, right? Actors, you could have like the most amazing thing happen, the most amazing, movie, the most amazing, and then literally it's out. And then you're like, what's next? What's next? What's next? That's going to like validate me. I need another project. I'm only as good as my last one. And if it was more than 6 months ago, then I'm no good anymore, misdirected anger and fear towards colleagues or superiors, which that could actually stem from unresolved feelings towards the father, right? Where you might really be mad and really be taking it out on other people. All right, I feel like time. Maybe we go to the questions, or do you want to talk a little bit about friendship, how it plays out in your friendships? I think you guys know. Insecurity within your friendships, feeling like you're not enough, right? Okay. Struggling to set healthy boundaries, which can lead to being overly guarded or overly open with friends, right? You guys ever have the friends who you talk to them and it's like they're fucking interviewing you for like a piece they're writing in the New Yorker magazine, where they never share about themselves. They remember everything about you. They ask you all the questions. Or the other way around, the friends who only talk about themselves, right? And how they're never really asking about you. Exactly. You become the receptacle, right, Linda, where of people, Yeah. What about self-criticism? That affects how you interact socially, potentially driving friends away and missing out on opportunities too, because when we feel insecure and we don't do things or we don't go out because of that, or we say no to invitations or no to connection with other people, it's like that's painful, and it actually gives us more of the same, which is what we don't want. Father wounds also can give you just generalized anxiety about social approval, fear of rejection, being misunderstood. That was a huge one for me, is the pain of being misunderstood. And how once I got healthier in my adult life, how incredibly important it is for me to be understood accurately. Yeah. Oh, that's great, Lisa. Lisa said, after I announced I was getting a divorce to my almost ex, my life changed dramatically. I bet it did. Right on. Sometimes it's dramatic what needs to happen, right? Geraldine said the pain of being criticized when you are doing so good, fear of being in a hostile environment. Yeah. Pain of being not understood, seen, supported, loved, and valued. Said yes. Same. I'm in tears, but then there's my cat. Like, what's up? See, your cat's like, why are you crying? Looking at the screen. Oh, yes. Someone said, Fabulous said I would repeat myself, making sure I was heard. Yes. And then Jelena said, chronic over explaining. Anybody over explaining? Need to write a fucking dissertation on why you're saying no to something or why you can't do something? Like, why? And constantly putting other people's needs above our own, right? Taking care of friends' needs instead of our own. I mean, I would always be the first one to be like, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. No, you take the Uber. You take the car. I'll get an Uber. I'll figure it out. Right? Yes, exactly, Renee. Or over explaining why you made the choices that you made. And I got to tell you, when you heal and get on this healing path from the father wound, when you integrate the father wound, because that's really what we're talking about, you will not be over explaining yourself. Like, it's how much your life changes when you understand that you don't owe anybody shit when it comes to an explanation, that your life is your own, that you are the boss of you now and always have been. But it's hard when we have these unresolved wounds. It's hard to know that. We really see ourselves so much the mirror of other people mirroring back to us. Miranda said, I want full control of my life and focus on my healing and avoid love addiction. Yes, but so much of that will come with the healing of this wound, because you're seeking something in the love addiction, right? There's this same thing. Like when I used to drink, I mean, I stopped a long time ago, but what was it? The instant gratification. You can get lost in a love addiction. I could get lost in the bottle. So we could soothe our pain, our anxiety, our sense of not belonging. And it's major. And so in resisting the love addiction stuff, just like resisting anything else that you're using to numb yourself, will be something that I fully support you in doing throughout the course as well, because we don't want to be numbing ourselves. We want to feel, right? We do want to feel, because it's understanding that you're not that fragile, right? You're really not. You are so much more durable, so to speak, you know? All right, so I want to ask you guys. All right, I got 12 minutes, rapid fire. We're just going to hit the questions. We're going to do it. All right, let's do it. Lisa said, I have no friends with men, only women. I have no friendships with men, only women. Is this part of a father wound? It absolutely can be. And I would say, besides my husband, I'm very similar. I have very few still. And I consider myself healed. So it also could be a choice and a preference. All right. Hold on. My throat is dry. Short explanation of integration. Integrating your father wound means that we honor what we experienced. And in the honoring, instead of it being frozen in time, it becomes integrated and sort of woven into the unique and beautiful tapestry of our lives. So it isn't like we forget that it happened, or it isn't like we deny or bypass that it happened. It's we realize, what are the strengths that came out of it for me? What are the things that were terrible? We honor, we share in a sacred, safe container. And that is how we integrate those experiences. So they stop running our lives. They stop informing our decision-making. Make sense? All right, Dunia said, I have a tendency to get turned off when someone is very into me and end up breaking up with them. In fact, I just broke up with someone yesterday, primarily due to it becoming a long-distance relationship and this person wanting to speak for an hour every day, which I found to be distracting and a major imposition on my time. Whereas when someone is rejecting abusive to me and questions my value, I feel the need to prove my value. This feels familiar. I wonder if feeling this way, feeling turned off and feeling like I needed to reject someone who is very into me, may in some way be related to a father wound. I'm going to say yes, for sure. So this is very common, that the familiarity, because think about it, Dunya, what happens in childhood? Someone who's rejecting and doesn't think that you have value. This is love, adult love, romantic love, and rejection and lack of value went like that in your childhood. So when you see someone who's accepting, you go, I don't know about you. That doesn't seem like romantic love. That seems weird. It seems like an imposition. I'm not sure. When you see someone who's rejecting, you're like, that's interesting. But you can change that through this process of going through these 5 pillars that I have of healing and transformation. Like, we need to deal with, how did that attraction develop, and honor how it developed. And then you can change it. Make sense? All right. Bailey said, how do you manage multiple father figure wounds? My father put me on a plane back to my mother at 13, and I never heard from him again. My stepfather, since age 4, has been a good father overall, but right after that happened, he got mad at me and said, no wonder your dad wants nothing to do with you. That one statement has stayed with me for 25 years. That's so sad, Bailey. Like it's how it happens, but it is sad that we can have that one experience where we just can't, it's just burned into our brain, you know? So there are steps that you can take, and the way you would handle it in the course is you would do them separately. We would do one thing for the step. So yeah, because they're not the same wound, right? And you want to let go of that one from your stepdad, especially. You want to let go of all of it because it doesn't serve you, but we need to understand it, you know? Yeah. Angelica said, I keep asking myself after so many decades, why couldn't my dad accept me just the way I was? I'm peaceful, quiet, and shy. He always praised other children that were vibrant, outspoken, and vivacious. Though, Angelica or Angelica, I'm not sure which way to say it, but I like it both ways. Here's the thing. I had a therapist that really helped me long ago when I would be asking the why about my father. Why couldn't my father just be like a guy who wanted daughters? Why couldn't he be a daddy's little girl daddy? Why couldn't he be a hashtag girl dad? Huh? Why not? That was my question. And she was like, here's the thing, Tara. We've been talking about this for a number of years. If you keep asking why, you're asking the wrong question. And I was like, I am? Who knew? And she was like, you'll never have an answer to the why your father wasn't a girl dad, couldn't be a girl dad. I have a better question, a different question. Can you feel loved by the ways that your father was capable of loving you? And I was like, oh, I do not know. I can try. And so that was, and this becomes basically there's an exercise in the course that we do like this, where it really made me look at my father differently, where it wasn't just, wow, he didn't love me the way that I wanted to be loved. But there was something that he did do. He bought me a used car. He fixed my teeth. He didn't make me work during college. He paid for college, which many parents can't do and don't do. And I know that that's such a privilege. But because I was a middle-class girl from New Jersey and had no idea how privileged I was until I got out into the world, I thought everyone's parents did that. Like I was like, well, that's not a big deal. But actually it is. And so that's what I say to you, Angelica. Let's ask a better question, you know? Yeah. Yes. I think I understand. Love his way. Just that something yeah, okay. Yep. Still in Bergen County. Yeah, man. All right. So Kira said, how do you release the need to prove yourself through success? I think part of it, Kira, is looking at your motivation, diving more deeply into what is your motivation for doing things. Like so much of mine, when I really dove into it, I was able to see that my fear of success was my fear of failure was so profound because success was the one thing I knew my father valued. He was very successful, came from like a farming town and became like a bigwig at AT&T Communications and, very white collar, as I say, Wall Street Journal reading, martini swigging, golfing on the weekends type of guy, which was not the way that he was raised. So anyway, you need to look at your own motivation. What is motivating you? When I did, I was able to switch into something where my motivation was my passion, where my motivation was my heart's work, my dharma. And that was different, Irina said, what is the best way to start healing father? When is therapy the only way, or are there other ways? Take my course. I have a course starting on June 19th or 16th. And there are definitely other ways. And I am a therapist. So it's therapeutically informed, the entire course. So that is what I would literally say to you, Irina. And of course, if you can afford therapy, do that too, right? Or do that only. It's really up to you. But because not everyone has access. Part of why I created the course, it's close to my heart, but it's also so that we can even the playing field to a degree, and people who maybe you don't have good therapy where you are, now you can do this, which is different, and I have a long payment plan to make it as easy as possible. Fabulous said, why did my dad always talk over me? When I tried confronting him, he would constantly talk over me. Why couldn't or wouldn't he listen to me? Here's the thing. We're back to, let's ask a better question. How did him constantly talking over you and not being able to listen to you, how did that impact you? Because your father's why is not your side of the street. How it impacted you, that is your side of the street. For those of you who want to take the course, I'm going to just ask the URL is terricole.com/father wound. Yeah. All right. Janny said, fear of intimacy, not having any relationships with men. Why? Well, that's a question for you. Why do you think, Janny? If you had to say, why do you think? There's a reason. What did intimacy, what does it mean to you? What did you see when it comes to intimacy? That requires a deeper dive into your own story, because here's the thing, you guys, the reason why there's no one size fits all is because you're all so different and what you experience is so different. So the way the course is set up and the way we're doing it in these 3 days is that I'm hoping to be a GPS to bring you to the information that you need to start on this journey. Faith said, can a father wound, especially abuse, lead to somatization? Oh my God, say it, get it together, Terri. Somatization. No, that's not how you say it. You know what I mean? It's showing up in your body is what that means. And depersonalization. It can definitely show up as somatically, for sure. So I've seen lots of ways that it can show up physically. Anything that's unprocessed eventually can create autoimmune disorders. There's all kinds of ways that we see it show up somatically. Depersonalization is another part of it. And this can happen for a lot of things, but childhood abuse certainly is one of them. So depersonalization and not feeling connected to what's happening and not feeling connected to yourself can definitely happen from childhood abuse with a father figure or a father. Art Rochelle said, suggestions for what to do for our fathers on Father's Day when we're not feeling warm and fuzzy towards them because of our father wounds. Well, I actually did a blog on it, and you can check it out on my website, and we'll put the link in HQ for you, Rochelle. I'll give you lots of different ideas, because I was always in that same situation where I was like standing in the friggin' card aisle when my father was alive for like so many hours, being like, you were so amazing. You were always there for me. Nope. So a lot of times I would just get one with a pretty something on the front and blank inside, and I would just write something like, I don't know. I didn't know what to say because there was none that had anything. Yeah, exactly. Grace said, I wanted the Father's Day card that did not have the word love on it. Same. It all felt, but I wanted to be like, thanks for being dutiful. Like that doesn't seem like a card. You know what I mean? But that would be the only thing that would make sense. Yeah, exactly. A line of cards for dysfunctional families, said Elizabeth. Exactly. You want to be, hey, you don't want to do just host and panelists. You guys, Linda, Elizabeth, look at what you're posting. You want to do it to everyone, because I want everyone to see what you're saying, because it's so nice. Bibi said, how to feel safe, loved, and not depending to be loved of a man, how to give this love to myself. That is the age-old question. And everything that I teach, every course that I teach, every book that I write, everything has a very big part about self-love and how to do it. And what does it look like? And slowly but surely, one interaction at a time, you change your interactions, right? This is how we stop self-abandoning, because really, Bibi, that's what it is, right? When we have a lack of self-love, there's a part of us that is self-abandoning, right? For the sake of others, to avoid conflict, for all the things, for all the reasons. And as you build And it's a what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Do you build self-love by stopping self-abandoning? And I say yes, that is the order that it works in. So you just slowly but surely, next right action, you choose yourself instead of choosing others, you know? All right, someone with a phone number said, how do I ensure the next person I have a relationship with is emotionally available? Are there quick signs to identify? Yeah. How quickly do I move on if I think he's not emotionally available? Well, we want to look for people who do, who actually do what they say they're going to do. This is one of the telltale signs of someone who's securely attached, is that they keep their word. Other things to think about, how we can tell if someone is emotionally unavailable is if they do like the full court press to get you interested, and then as soon as you're interested, they step back and disappear for like a day or two or whatever. Like, you see inconsistency in their ability to be connected with you. Consistency is so major. If your current boyfriend does not keep his word, you need to call him on it. You need to say, listen, we're building this relationship on trust, and every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're breaking my trust. And I don't think it's going to work for me long term or whatever. So that's, yes. So that's another way of, looking, do they do what they say they're going to do? Do they make plans? Some people are so emotionally unavailable, they'll talk about plans in like a bigger sense, but they won't actually make plans with you. Where it's like, or they'll be like, we should get together on Friday, and they never call on Friday. So it's so much of it has to do with consistency and their behavior and their willingness to be connected. And also, if they're emotionally available and they like you, they can let you know that. They're not afraid for you to know that they like you, right? Which is different than people who are emotionally unavailable. They're always keeping you guessing, right? Yes, future faking, exactly. Chasing love never works. I would like to see be in a healthy relationship. I would like to see what it's like to be in a healthy relationship. You can, right? Chasing and being chased, right? There's got to be mutual desire in there. Yeah, got it. And you're ready to date. I love it. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed today's training. I hope that it opened your eyes to some. I know some of you had epiphanies, which I love, love, love to see. I hope it added value to where you are. I love being with you, obviously. We raised your awareness about how a father wound might be playing out in your relationships, friendships, work, love relationships. And tomorrow, we're going to hit more on how to actually heal. I've given you some steps, but you guys remember, this is a gift that you're giving yourself, right? It isn't you that you had a parent with limitations. You never deserved it. You never did anything to justify it. It wasn't you. If you're listening to, if you've got some bullshit rolling around in your mind about why you were the scapegoat, and if you had only not done that thing, no, it was never you, because it was the adults in your life, always, right? Always. So remember that. And you can do this. Look at our chat, you guys. You can do this. And the replay of this is in HQ. So as soon as we're done, within X number of hours, the team is going to upload this. So if you haven't seen yesterday's, please do. You can. It was just as on fire as today. And if you loved it today, share right now in any aha moment, right, that you had. Share in the chat. Did you have anything? Did you realize anything? Information on the course, go to terricole.com/father wound. I believe it is $9.97 with a long payment plan for those who need it. Yeah, so it was not my fault. That was an aha moment from Linda today. The golden child is not free, said Michelle. Fact, I was a golden child. There was a hell of a payment for it. Lots of aha moments. I love it. Right on. And those of you, I'm lucky I had great parents. Good for you. I also, if you want to share this on social, you guys, please do. Right? Yes. Take a picture. I'll smile right now. All right. Take your screenshot. Do it. Right on. Okay. I did it. And just even if I'm talking, it's fine if the picture, but share it with people, the training, because we want people to come tomorrow, right? And they can look at yesterday's and today's. It's all free. And yes, we're moving into a paid course, but you guys, my job, my commitment is to give you a shit ton of value for free. And I hope that it inspires you. And if you can afford it, that you take the course. I'd love to spend 2 months with you. It would be amazing. This is what we do every single week. This is what it's like. I really want to throw down the gauntlet for you. I want to issue a challenge. I want you to do something, right? Take some time. I created exercises for you in the workbook. Carve out 10 minutes, right? If you don't want to do anything else, listen to the heart healing guided meditation that I give you for free in there. Do something different. You want a different result? Do something different. The heart healing meditation, it'll be given to you with the replay. Right? So I'm challenging you. And go into HQ and underneath the video, once it's posted, share. If you want me to witness your aha moments, anything, or any questions, put them in there because I'm going in there every single day. So go to terricole.com/HQ, and it's a whole entire place that we created with everything that has to do with the free training. So that's where it is right now. I really want you to come back tomorrow. So if you enjoyed this, and if you're watching this after the fact, it's so fun to be here live with you. So come back tomorrow. The workshop is happening again. Day 3 tomorrow, where we get into the beginnings of how you can heal. 12 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. I'll be sending you an email reminder. You can sign up for text messages so you don't miss a thing at terricole.com/HQ. I can't wait to see you. I'll be talking about, what we're doing tomorrow is getting into the healing process. So, and share. Yes. Screenshot on the Mac. It's Shift Command 3. I didn't know that at the same time. It is amazing. That's so exciting. All right, you guys, I'm kissing all of you. Share on social media, even if you're not techie, it's okay. Just do the best that you can so that other people can do this. If you share this in your stories, give them the link, terricole.com/training. Anyone who needs help with a father wound, I am here for you and I am here for them. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye, you guys. Take care of you, as I love to say.